Worxwide works for you.
Today we are exploring a very fascinating topic, customer experience at scale, designing for billion users. Discovery, consideration, acquisition and scale. So we are gonna gain your experience today and insights from you. How from a discovery standpoint, how did you design the digital customer journeys at ONDC where small owners were suddenly who were not discoverable with traditional e-commerce, now suddenly they are being more discoverable. So you mentioned about that, the penetration rate was with the traditional commerce is quite low. Did it significantly improve consideration standpoint? Similar to this platform, when a buyer comes and compares unknown sellers with established brands, the big brands, right? The trust factors come in. So how do you design those trust signals?
See, if you look at the whole world, whole universe came out of incremental innovations. The physical, in the life form, you call it mutation.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohit. Today we are exploring a very fascinating topic, customer experience at scale, designing for billion users. Now, most of us have designed it for thousands, maybe millions, but designing for billions is unimaginable, especially then when you have different digital readiness of the users, different languages, different cultures. So designing of a billion users is a different ball game altogether. So to help us understand this, we have a very special guest today, Mr. T Koshy, who has 3 decades of experience building large digital ecosystems, and recently he was an MD and CEO at ONDC. Welcome, Mr. Koshy.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So let's get started, Mr. Koshy, and thank you so much for giving your valuable time. So I have divided this podcast into 4 parts for our users to understand from a customer experience standpoint: discovery, consideration, acquisition, and scale. So we are going to gain your experience today and insights from you. How, from a discovery standpoint, how did you design the digital customer journeys at ONDC where small owners were suddenly who were not discoverable with traditional e-commerce, now suddenly they are being more discoverable. Now they are being, found easily through ONDC channel. So what's your view on that, sir?
Okay, thank you. Since, when you're talking about designing something for billions of users, the application would be varied. So what we'll do is we'll try to sort of focus from the point of view of commerce and specifically from the journey that we have taken here in ONDC. If you look at e-commerce, which you are all familiar, we have anywhere in the world, including India, few large platforms who are meeting the requirement of their clients in different domains. Some of them are in consumer products, some of them are in grocery and quick, satisfaction products like quick commerce, some are in food, some are in mobility, some are in travel, and so on and so forth. So normally when you think about customer experience, you think about a platform where end-to-end solutions from supply to logistics to payment to warehousing to consumer experience, everything is handled by a single entity with certain set of customers and suppliers in mind. So that's how we think about e-commerce. And many times when you design something, we try to develop in that fashion. The people who develop for mobility will be very different from the way we look for consumer products, right? And they could be very different for what they do foods. So one of the fundamental thoughts that we had when we were designing, when we were developing the idea for ONDC is that how can we create a comprehensive marketplace like in the case of a physical market? If you look at physical market, you have big malls like Ambience and Palika Bazaar and Lajpat Nagar Market and maybe Janpat Road.
Yeah.
If you look at these are all small marketplaces meeting the requirement of different kind of customers and different kind of sellers. So what we thought was e-commerce, instead of trying to create proprietary platforms or walled gardens for certain segments of users, thus limiting everything about that platform to that level.
Right.
Can we create a marketplace as we are in the physical marketplace or in the digital world that is there in internet? Internet itself, if you look at,
right,
there are you can be a small mom and pop shop or a kirana store having your website, meeting, and you make a page which is as required for you with the kind of messaging that you want to send, what kind of products you have, what kind of clients you're doing, and it is available. And I may use Chrome, I may use Edge, I may use anything, but I can still discover. You don't worry about what I use.
Right.
You say that this is what I want to, this is the kind of customer. So that kind, same thing happens in physical market. So we thought, can we bring that concept in commerce? ONDC is an outcome of that thought. So what it does is very simple. Unbundling and interoperability. Right. Unbundling means different components of transaction, whether it is seller, supply being onboarded onto the network, or what you call the big market, or logistics, or buyer experience on the other side, if you look at. These are all, if you look at discrete processes. Can we all make them as discrete processes, but stitch together with an open protocol? Today, in a typical platform, these discrete processes are there, but stitched together with a proprietary protocol. It means only people who adhere to the protocol can live. So it becomes a walled garden. Here, like in the physical market, say that everybody can use a standard open protocol, like HTML of commerce.
Right.
And different sellers will make their supply available on the network using this protocol, including the component services. And different buying and experiences can come and say that, okay, I am focusing it on a national market, or I am forcing for Tamilians based out of North India, or I am looking at people who enjoy holidays, end-to-end everything, from auto to go to the metro, to metro ticket, to air ticket or a train ticket, to homestay. I want to package it them all with a way, because I'm a specialized person, right? Because I'll also give a lot of travel advice. But today, if I have to go and tie up with all the suppliers. Now, when it is unbundled and use a protocol to enable interoperability, we can all beautifully stitch together. So that is how we enable ONDC as a network that is relevant to the whole community, not just certain limited set of people, buy side or sell side. Probably you're aware that even in India, while many of us who are listeners and now who are participating could be e-commerce savvy and useful, but the penetration is less than 10%.
Right.
On the buy side, sell side is even less than 2%.
Oh, God. Okay.
Up to 3%.
Okay.
On the other side, when we have such an idea of an open network in the payment side, for example, commerce has two sides, money and goods. Goods and services on one side, money on the other side. Money side, when I create an idea of an open network using UPI, suddenly the adoption become very all-encompassing. Almost 70-75% of the population use UPI to make some transaction.
Right.
But that's only for payment.
Yeah.
Okay. So can we bring the similar kind of experience on the goods and service side? Is a design principle behind ONDC. Like I said, two fundamental building block of that is unbundling and interoperability.
So you mentioned about that, the penetration rate was with the traditional commerce is quite low. So with the new system in place with ONDC, did it significantly improve because the SMEs have...
See, there are two parts. Normally, when you are used to setting up a large, big platform, whether it is in food or anything, the idea of those investors and entrepreneurs is how do you capture a very large portion of the market share.
Right.
So for that, they have very aggressive media strategies, very aggressive pricing strategies, including significant amount of predatory pricing and so on and so forth, to capture a significant market share in a small time.
Okay.
Whereas open network for digital commerce, the ONDC, the idea is it is a utility. Right. It's an infrastructure provider. Now for example, whenever you have a large highway comes, connecting three cities, initially there'll be no business around.
Right.
Eventually you will start seeing a lot of action. You will see shops coming.
Yeah.
Then you will see small towns coming live next to the, the big highway.
Ecosystem gets built on.
So those things has to come out of initiative.
Mm.
You cannot, the government who creates a road cannot go and set up the village and the shop and the towns and every business.
Mm.
So what they're doing is create a foundational infrastructure. So you have to understand ONDC as a foundational infrastructure on which the innovations has to come. It will take time. If you look at any such social transformation project, while UPI is like something so common,
Yeah.
if you remember, the idea started in 2013
Right.
and it was launched only in 2016. And it took time to build up. This is an idea that we started, and the first commercial launch happened in 2023 January. That time we had about 1,200, whole month we had 1,200 transactions. I think I'm no more with ONDC. Last month I understand that they did about 18 million transactions.
80 million.
18 million transactions.
18 million.
Probably next year it will become 10 times of this.
Oh, wow.
So it has to be through a consumer. So the key thing that you have to mind, it has to be a collaborate community effort, not by some large enterprises coming and throwing lots of money onto it.
Absolutely. Great. Wonderful thoughts, sir. Moving on from a consideration standpoint, similar to this platform, when a buyer comes and compares unknown sellers with established brands, the big brands, right? The trust factors come in, right? So how do you design those trust signals?
Okay, there are see, if you look at multiple components to a trust signal, some of them can be built by the network provider as well as the market players who are there.
Okay.
And some of them will build across period of time. Okay. Now, you talked about, let's take a shirt. You may have a very big brand like Vandusai. They have a publicity mechanism to go across the country and across the world.
Yep.
Whereas it could be a small Gupta t-shirts coming from Tirupur. Today he has certain limitations. Okay, now if you look at what is ONDC provide him a lot of other components. But he has to build his brand.
Right.
He may use social media. But thing is, brand building is left to him. But the good thing that is so those effort has to come from the individual enterprises. But other components come. For example, there could be some buying applications providing certain, like I said, providing buying experience to their customer clients. So they build up their credibility as somebody who curate the right kind of products.
Right.
Okay. Now he's continuously looking to curate good products, cheap products, good bargains. So he may be the one who finds the Gupta.
Right.
Now that Gupta is not directly coming to the end consumer. Now that it is coming through a buying experience that you are very familiar with. For example, let's say one of the buying applications, like I know I'm just using one name, like Ola is a buying experience, an ONDC system. Bajaj, Hamara Mall is a buying system. But lots of people have confidence in that buying system.
Yeah.
Now, if they are curating those sellers from the market, naturally there's a trust. Secondly, there are a lot of other checks and balance in the system. One is that it's not a flea market. So there is a certain amount of due diligence for any of these buying platforms, selling platforms, sellers, etc. who come. Secondly, over a period of time, we are creating a scoring for every seller, independent of the platform he comes from.
Okay.
Today, if you are in one platform, you have a score there, and if you proved yourself bad there, you can quietly recreate. But this doesn't happen.
Okay.
Similarly, there's a significant mechanism for continuous tracking of any unmet complaints by any of these parties, and ONDC itself takes certain responsibility and actions with respect to unsupported or unresolved complaints, which is tracked on a like a good policeman. It's like saying when you have a highway there, there will be traffic police kept standing there.
Yes, there is
whose job is to make sure that the travel across this road is safer.
Yeah.
So that way we are creating different checks and balances.
Okay.
And eventually that is what will help. That is, if you look at, that's how it works in physical market too. Na?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But here, one big difference is there's an audit trail for every action. What did you ask for? What was offered? What did you commit? What was the contract? What did you pay? How much you paid? Everything is digitally tracked. So that helps in everybody together resolving based on fact and not on opinion, not on purely tutu meme. So that makes it the whole digital environment much stronger eventually to develop different clusters of expectations, met by such entities who live up to that expectation.
Such a wonderful thought. Moving on, sir, from an acquisition standpoint, if we look at SMEs and MSMEs, they find it really intimidating moving online, right? So, in your experience, how do you simplify the seller experience, whether it is transactions or loyalty and so on? It's very important for SMEs and MSMEs, right? That how do we design and simplify the seller experience?
Even here, the basic design provides for, and some of the things will have to evolve. Let me give you an example from where you came from. We all are familiar with websites.
Yeah.
And you're quite young, so you don't remember the early basic websites. So websites became popular in India in early 90s.
Yeah.
Mid-90s, because website HTML itself came into 1992 or something. Those days, there are only few entities who could help you develop a website. It is a very limited knowledge base. I remember when our company created the first website for about 20-25 pages, we paid a wholesome sum of 6.5 lakh rupees. A simple website. Today, not even a high school, a primary school, or can develop. Why? Two reasons.
Yeah.
One is because HTML is an open protocol.
Yeah.
Humongous amount of innovations happened on tool sets.
Right. It's about ecosystem you have built.
So the whole ecosystem got created itself.
Yeah.
So there are some if you are a very sophisticated website you want to create, probably you may ask TCS to do it with all kinds of jingba. Or you might be using some ready-made tool like WordPress or something. Or there are even simpler ones these days. So when you have such an open protocol, you will see innovation in tool sets. So you would see, while small merchant cannot come online, there is somebody who is providing the service and asking for a subscription. And because his requirements are very limited, he may have some 20 SKUs or even 2 SKUs. And these days, a good thing is the technology is going so fast that even to creating a decent catalog, there are lots of ready-made tools. Earlier, creating a catalog would have been a lot difficult. You need professional photographers and professional. Today, you can take a nice photo with your cell phone and ask AI to refine it for you. So these kind of when everything is in an interoperable using open protocol, the innovations comes to meet the requirement of every kind of seller and buyer. So that is why you have to think about the original and power of the underlying design, not by how each components are happening. The underlying design of unbundling and interoperability triggers all these possibilities. 1 billion possibilities come.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Absolutely. Very insightful. So moving on, I was wondering about the scale. When we are designing for billions, the scale comes in, right? And scale it's not just about numbers, but it is also about the diversity. So, how do you design those digital journeys for billions where a kirana shop owners from a rural and a buyer or a shopper from like a metro feels inclusive at the same time?
There again, like I said, it is not a single platform.
Yeah.
It's a network. The guy who develops the consumer experience for a sophisticated customer like you in living in metro, okay, the products that he will curate for you, the way it is suggested to you will be very different. Whereas think about somebody else is trying to create a user experience for a rural town in Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
He may first of all say that, okay, I'm going to give the buyer experience. I may even give him voice-enabled interaction in Tamil. Now these technologies are very, very, very much available. I may curate the products which are relevant to their client context. Okay, and help them to pull out those products available from this large network. So that's why, again, look at the original design. It's not a single platform.
Okay.
Where some entity will have to sit down. It's not like ONDC has to sit down, think about everybody. ONDC has created a highly scalable protocol that will bring all these things together. and create large and big communities of sellers and buyers in the context that is they're talking about.
That's nice.
So that is how it is not that one entity sit down and think, hey, I'm going to sell to that small fellow in Tirupur, to that big businessman from Punjab or a big partner of Punjab. He may have a very different approach.
Right.
And one entity can never meet all that expectation. If you look at the whole world, whole universe came out of incremental innovations in the physical, in the life form, you call it mutation. In the other word, you call so plus one innovations come. Some will succeed and some will fail. Successful one will prosper and become big. Some of them decide to be niche players. The thing is, all those things can coexist. It is not that one enterprise is trying to sort of orchestrate that everybody should wear the same shirt, same uniform. Remember, some countries used to run their country like that.
Yeah.
That's not how societies or even planets evolve.
One size doesn't fit all.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Oh.
And the thing is, when you have an open protocol, when you create, that is the whole idea behind the digital public infrastructure. It's infrastructure on which building has to happen.
Yeah. So you are actually building the digital public infrastructure on the top of which every component.
Where different components will come.
Yeah.
Collectively, they'll scale the requirement
Right.
of this broad set of people. It's not that one person had to sit down and think about it. It's not that one small fellow will have market all across the world. He may decide to be limiting himself to a certain cross section. So at the end of it, you say, it depends upon whom do you think as your customer is.
Perfect. So, as a conclusion thought, I would ask you, if you have to advise the CX design leaders about designing for massive populations, what would you advise them that what should be the experience design principles they should follow, or maybe one principle which from your experience you would suggest that they should follow for massive users?
No. When he entrepreneur, when he thinks, whatever offerings that he's dreaming about, he should say, what is my addressable market? In every product, addressable market is not 1 billion. Some case it might be billion, some case it might be only just 1 million.
Right.
So in your mind, you should say what is a potential addressable market? So customer should become your focus. And then based on the dispersion and size of that customer base, then you have to decide. Then once you design whether the discovery or the product offering everything, then you have to see how do you meet the satisfaction of the customer with respect to every component of the transaction. So the user experience becomes very good. But everything has to be in context. There is no magic formula. If you plan to develop a textile product versus an electronic product, there's no magic formula.
Right.
Sometimes the kind of textile product, supposing you're trying to create a very South Indian style veshti, it might be relevant only to that addressable market. You may decide geographic limitation, or may say that there are some madrasis there in Delhi also, probably will identify those pockets.
Right.
So that is how. So you have to have a clear focus and with respect to what are you trying to address, and then build on top of it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. So I think it was such an insightful discussion, and you have shared your wonderful thoughts around it. And I think it's really good to know how did you actually, kind of from empathy to trust to inclusiveness, how did you actually build that large ecosystem at ONDC? It's such a good, insightful discussion today. So thank you so much for your valuable time today. Thank you so much again. So if today's conversation resonates with you, please stay in touch. That's all for today, and thank you so much. Thank you.
Worxwide works for